Okay, let's dive right in. We're going to talk about one of the biggest questions in education today. How do we use technology to actually meet the needs of every single student in a classroom? Not as a distraction, but as a real tool for learning.
I mean, think about it. How can one room, one teacher, possibly work for 30 different kids? Each one with their own way of learning, their own pace, their own background. It's the central challenge, right? And the answer isn't some magic bullet. It's about designing a classroom that's flexible enough to bend, not break, for everyone. To even start to solve this, we have to know what we're aiming for. And that's what we call an academic learning need. It sounds complicated, but it's not. It's just the gap between what a student already knows and what they need to know to get something done. And our job, really, is to help them build a bridge across that gap. So here's how we're going to break it all down. We'll start with how to design for every learner. Then we'll look at the actual tech tools, a deep dive into accessibility, the crucial topic of student privacy, and finally, what this all means for the future. So let's get into it. This isn't about just reacting when a student is struggling. It's about being proactive. It's about having a blueprint for inclusion before the first student even walks in the door. And that blueprint has a name: Universal Design for Learning, or UDL. Instead of creating one rigid lesson and then trying to make a bunch of accommodations, UDL says, hey, let's build flexibility in from the very start. It's based on how we actually learn, ensuring everyone has a path to succeed.
UDL really boils down to three core ideas. First, the why. That's all about engagement, getting students excited and invested. Then there's the what, how you present the information. You don't just give them a textbook, you give them a video, a podcast, an article, options. And finally, the how. This is about letting students show what they know in different ways. Maybe they write an essay, or maybe they build an interactive timeline, or record a short presentation. It's all about choice.
Okay, so with that UDL framework in our back pocket, let's talk about the fun stuff, the tech. What are the actual tools we can use to make all this happen? Well, technology can wear a lot of different hats in the classroom. You can use simple things like online quizzes or forms to figure out what your students already know before you even start a lesson. You can use things like interactive videos to get them hooked on a new topic. And really importantly, you can offer creation tools to provide extra support for those academic needs we talked about, letting kids build things that show their understanding. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. There's a huge difference between passive consumption, just mindlessly scrolling or watching a video, and active consumption. That's when students are using the tech to do something, to create, to solve a problem, to collaborate. That's where the magic, the real learning, actually happens. And this brings us to one of the most powerful things that EdTech can do: its role in accessibility, in truly bridging that learning gap for every single student, no matter what challenges they might face. Now, just so we're all on the same page, when we talk about disability, the formal definition is a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities. And in a traditional classroom, those impairments can create some serious barriers. Technology is often the key to breaking those barriers down. And let's be clear, accessibility isn't just about physical or cognitive disabilities, it's also about linguistic needs. Imagine being a student trying to learn chemistry in a brand new language. Technology can be an absolute lifeline, offering materials in both your primary and secondary language so you can actually understand the content while you're learning the new language. So, what do these tools actually look like? Well, you've got screen readers that read text out loud for students with visual impairments, screen magnifiers and contrast tools to make displays easier to read, and then you have things like voice recognition software that can help a student who has trouble typing. These aren't just gadgets. For many students, these are the keys to their education. Of course, with all this amazing technology comes a huge, huge responsibility. As we open up these new doors for learning, we absolutely have to be the guardians of our students' privacy and their data. The big concept here is something called personal identifiable information, or PII. Basically, it's any little piece of data that could be used to figure out who a student is. Think of it like their digital footprint. To make that super concrete, PII includes the obvious stuff, right? A student's name, their birthday. But it also includes their email address, their phone number, and even location data that an app might be collecting in the background. We have to protect all of it. It's non-negotiable. And this isn't just about doing the right thing. It's the law. In the United States, there's a federal law called FERPA, And it lays out very strict rules about how schools handle student records. It puts a very clear legal and ethical duty on all educators to protect that information. Okay, so let's pull all of this together. When you combine that smart, inclusive design, these powerful tech tools, and a serious commitment to being responsible, that's when you start to build the empowered classrooms of the future. And here's the bottom line. The goal is not a classroom run by robots. Technology is never going to replace a great teacher. Never. The goal is a classroom where that great teacher is empowered by technology to do what they do best, connect with, support, and challenge every single kid in that room. It's all about empowerment, not automation. So I'll leave you with this final thought to chew on. We see technology personalizing everything around us, our music playlists, the news we see, everything. The really exciting question is, can we use that same power to not just personalize information, but to personalize and unlock the incredible potential that exists inside every single student?